on October 18th for weapons and drugs charges in Connecticut.
Have these two men offered any kind of explanation for their behavior?
The investigators are still talking with them now, but it looks like the pure motive from what we've been able to gain is revenge on the burglary. That is the motive in this particular case. The report from Ian was Jake was so upset earlier in the day that he was punching holes in the wall, and he was doing whatever he could to get this individual back over there so he can take revenge out on the burglary.
So you believe Jake was the primary aggressor?
Yeah, I believe Jake was the primary person that was doing the stabbing with the knife, but both Jake and Ian had pre-planned this. Ian's position was to grab him in the event that he was going to run, to tackle him, to not let him leave the scene. So they're both equally responsible in this thing, but it looks like at this point in time, in the early stages of the investigation, that Jake was the one that had the knife in his hand, at least in that particular moment. Now, when Walter came in, Ian had the knife in his hand. So again, as this investigation progresses and we have the opportunity to evaluate all aspects of physical evidence of the scene and talk to additional witnesses, we'll know more about the bizarre accounts of what happened last night.
That's time and the biggest selling single of all time, so no big deal. You might wonder, like me, how his hands and feet haven't already been immortalized in cement here in front of the Chinese theater.
Obviously this is a tragedy. Anytime that you have a loss of human life, it is an absolute tragedy.
The truth is we can never honor
but I am also extremely grateful, not only for Walter walking in and doing the right thing and immediately reporting this to law enforcement. I'm also very grateful for the courageous law enforcement officers who responded immediately by air and ground, and the collaboration between the Altamont Springs Police Department and Sheriff's Office to apprehend Jake, who was in a business, no shoes on, obviously fleeing the area so quickly. Within 30 minutes, we had one of the primary murder suspects apprehended. So, again, it's a tragedy, but the results are as good of a scenario as you could
want for the good guys. The first thing he said was, "I wish I could live forever."
I don't know, and I don't believe that there were college students.
So many doors.
I don't believe. They have minor criminal history. Jake was on probation here in Seminole County for misdemeanor probation. We've just learned of the charges in Connecticut, drugs and weapons charges in Connecticut. We don't know what the disposition is on that, but it doesn't appear that any of these individuals have extensive criminal history. But it does not appear that they were college students. Drugs inside the house, but at this point in time, we don't know if those drugs had any correlation. Actually, we don't believe it had any correlation to this particular act. Yeah, there's one other individual that was living in the house. His first name is CJ. He was off at work. He was not home at the time, and he arrived after he got off of work and had no understanding, had not been exposed to any conversations that we believe up until this, but there was one other person.
Anyway.
They suspected, we have not been able to confirm that because no report to law enforcement was ever made. And they concluded that by sharing some text messages back and forth amongst the 3 or 4. I guess somewhere along the path there was a text message indicating that the decedent had possession of the PlayStation 4. But it's still early stages in this. We'll forensically examine, all pieces of evidence, including cell phone communications, etc. But that's how they believe that the burglary had occurred, by sharing of text messages. There was never a report to law enforcement about burglary.
Each and every one of you.
I have not confirmed that as of yet because, the medical examiner is still responding. We want to make sure that the family has no contact before we release that.
Legendary list of icons enshrined here in front of Hollywood's famed Chinese theater.
I don't know. I don't believe that they had. I know that Walter seemed like he was the roommate replacement. Walter had only been at the residency for just a handful of days, maybe 5 or 6, maybe a week. And it looks like they invited Walter in after they evicted the decedent, and that was 2 weeks ago. I don't know the circumstances of that, but I'm sure that our investigators will pick that up as their investigation.
Century Fox and Victor Young at Paramount. Guys who were my mentors back then. And as a teenager growing up in Seattle,
I don't think that they were expecting Walter to come back at a particular time. Again, Walter still had his date tomorrow, so he was stopping. It does not appear that he was planning to stay because his date was outside of the car still, so maybe he was just stopping to pick something up, but it does not appear that they were expecting him to come back home.
Sidney Lumet, who hired me to do my first American film score.
Walter did know that a burglary had occurred. At least they believed that a burglary had occurred. They did know that there was aggression and anger, but obviously Walter has been very cooperative with us and had no idea anything like this would ever happen. So again, that will continue as we continue to talk to people, but it does not appear that he had any knowledge that this would occur. Sometimes people pull off steam and they express their anger, but nothing like this.
No black composers on single screen credits, and 2 people helped me solve that. That was Sidney Poitier, gave me 6 films, and Sidney Lumet. Sidney, I met him when he was
so what we have is we have Walter, who is a relatively new roommate. He's been there for maybe a week or so. He's met somebody on Tinder. He's out on a date with social media contacts, and then he actually drives back to the home right around midnight. And we don't know why he's at the home, but it doesn't appear that he's there to stay because his date is still out in the car. As he walks into the house, what he sees is Ian holding a knife in his hand, Jake on the floor putting a bloody body inside plastic bags. He immediately sees this, frightened as anybody would be, runs out of the home, gets back in the car, flees the area, and calls 911 and reports that. Moments later, sheriff's deputies arrive on scene. Ian goes into the bathroom and locks the door. Jake flees out of the back of the house, and he's on foot, barefoot, running, trying to avoid apprehension. We later catch him about 30 minutes later in the area of O'Brien Road and 1792, right behind the 7-Eleven that's located there, with the assistance of our aviation, the Altamont Springs Police Department, and Seminole County Sheriff's deputies that are working in the general area. All of the details really came together so quickly because Walter was acting as a law-abiding citizen and reporting this very, very bizarre scene that he walked into. What we later found out was there has been conversations between Jake and Ian earlier in the day that they were going to do whatever they could to lure the decedent over to the house to get revenge. They are absolutely convinced that he has burglarized their home. They're absolutely convinced that the decedent has taken a PlayStation 4. And when he comes there, Jake meets him at the door and has a knife in his hand at that time. They get him inside the house. Ian's position is if he runs from the location, your job is to tackle him and not allow him to leave. And then the fight is on. I can only imagine as we get in there and forensically examine, we're going to see the real harm and damage and how brutal of an attack this was. All over a gaming system, which makes absolutely no sense to any law-abiding citizen. So that's kind of a recap of what happened, what we've been working. We'll be out there for the next few days, following up on interviews of witnesses. The forensics will release the name of the decedent, the victim, as soon as the next of kin is contacted and notified. And our press team will give very specific details on the names of the people that are involved and booking sheets and face sheets or anything like that. We'll also find more about the Connecticut charges as well. Again, October 18th, Jake was charged with weapons and drug charges out of Connecticut, so that's something that we're very interested to learn more about as well. Any more questions?
Not to be